if gold's worth $30 trillion and it's really just like a pet rock that also can be used as jewelry, then unprintable global money, the Swiss bank account in anyone's pocket who wants it. This idea is worth way more than 30 trillion. So I think that gold doing what it's done should be a really exciting thing, at least for Bitcoiners who think that they're getting panicked about what the price might be doing over the last weeks or months.
It's interesting. The gold price has surprised me. Was this also something that you kind of was surprised with the 2025 movement of the gold price?
Yeah, I mean, I don't own any. I'm all in on Bitcoin. I think it's kind of like they say digital gold, but I think gold is really analog Bitcoin. It's the other way to think about it. And, I think that there's obviously, it's a signal that there's something structurally changing or breaking about the way money works, which Bitcoiners kind of already know, which for me is another reason why, it's like, how much confirmation do you need that Bitcoin is going to be valued by more people over the near term and the long term future, if like all of the signals sort of point to this global realization that the way money works is changing and the way we think about protecting capital is evolving. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably a big warning sign. And to see gold, I would say my biggest thought is like to see gold move as violently as it did is pretty alarming, and is a sign. If I wasn't already holding as much Bitcoin as I possibly have the ability to, I would be trying to hold more right now.
I just have a very hard time believing that any company not offering any services, just sitting on a big stack, will survive a very long time. I mean, depending on how big the stack is, you can survive a long time. I think Saylor's stack is now very big already, and so you can you can make a lot with that amount of Bitcoin, and you can come by for a few years on that easily. And he actually quoted it, and it's actually interesting because there's like those pumps from those locked capital markets towards Bitcoin, and then it's a question of like how many of those pipes you need, and I don't think we need more than like one or two maybe. And so strategy has cornered the market, as you said, and maybe there's a place for a second competitor. I don't know. I also don't really have any ambitions to do anything in that space, but it's just interesting for me that there are now companies, their sole purpose is to acquiring as much Bitcoin as possible. It's almost like, hey, I want to acquire a lot of gold. Like, do you want to buy my company? It's like, because I want to buy gold. It does not make sense for me. It's just like a short-term thing that happening because there's locked capital that cannot access real Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately there was a lot of scam kind of pump and dumps that happen with the stocks. And this is like another, like getting back to the early part of our conversation, people wanting to like really rush Bitcoin. And I think that, this is not an old thing or not a new thing where people want to, wrap Bitcoin in something else to try and amplify the returns that they might be able to get, or they want to produce like a cash flow, like, they wish that Bitcoin would generate some kind of a yield. These are all sort of like variations of old things that didn't work before and they still don't work now. And they're just sort of like, it's this ongoing painful lesson for people who, unfortunately, with Bitcoin, it is like winning the lottery in slow motion. And we live in this dopamine depleted instant gratification society where 50% a year isn't enough, which is an unfortunate reality. It's totally insane, but it is also an unfortunate reality of how things are. And I think that's partly just like a symptom of how hard things are getting, that, for people to feel optimistic about it, or maybe even just like feel alive, they need to get like this, 1000x feeling, or they feel like they're losing. So 7x from here over the next 5 years, let's say, so it's 700,000 by 2030. Personally, I think it's going to be a lot more than that. But like, even if it only did that, people would be very excited again. I mean, I think this is It takes time.
100%. And it's, yeah, I also look at 2030. 2030 is an interesting one because like it's also the 5 years, as you mentioned, from 2025. I mean, now we are very fast approaching already 2026, but we're still in 2025. So 2025, now 5 years later, would be 2030. And you mentioned those 5 years. And it's interesting because there's this concept from, I forgot his name. This gradually then suddenly from Parker Lewis, like this concept, and I had him already 2 times on the podcast, and it was really interesting. Where he talks about there's a point in history where all of a sudden it changes really quickly within like 1-2 years, and everyone adopts it. And it's the major change for Bitcoin would probably be a hyperinflation, especially if we see hyperinflation in the G3 nations, so like euro, dollar, or yen. If one of those three is like hyperinflating, man, people will flock because now when a currency is hyperinflating, they're fleeing to one of those three currencies. If someone in the Turkey, like they're going to the euro, maybe in Argentina, they're going to the US dollar. And so what if those three currencies are no longer a safe haven for those other currencies? All of a sudden people are like, oh, what else is there? What else is there to buy? And at that point, hopefully Bitcoin is already stable enough, developed enough to actually be ready for that many people, because we also have to be ready as a network to be onboarding so many people. And that's why I say, like, everyone that is building in Bitcoin, you will be very busy the next 10 years. Like, you will be having a lot of work, and you don't even know where to put all the work that you will be having. I think stablecoins is just something that we have to deal with the next couple of years, but it will not be there in 100 years.
Yeah, I agree. I have a hard time seeing it too, because I think when stablecoins are even easier to print, like I think that like it's easy to see how the expansion of the money supply in a stablecoin world gets even worse, like the problem of the expansion of the money supply. And two, I think that it's this idea that's really strange for people because we've grown up in a fiat world that, Bitcoin is commodity money. It's money where the underlying thing of value has been recombined with the money itself. And that's how it used to be when money was precious metal, and then we abstracted that by using a paper representation of the thing. Bitcoin really recombines the desirable thing and the money, which ostensibly negates the need to have a further abstraction of it. Obviously there's some technicalities because of tax rules and stuff like this, but I think that like the ultimately truly disruptive innovation, it can't be held back. And the thing about recombining the underlying thing of value with money, with the form of money, is that it re-empowers the individual person by giving them this form of money that is immune to debasement and enables them to actually just save. And this is like a critical fundamental thing, right? And this is a world-changing technology that lets people um, you know store the fruits of their labors and protect private property.
The thing that I had to overcome okay, for 5 years straight, I said to myself, hodl, don't sell, hodl, don't sell, hodl, don't sell. And all of a sudden, I'm selling. Like, I know spending is not selling, but like it essentially has the same effect that you part with your Bitcoin. Even if you sell it for dollars and then spend the dollars, or like you spend the Bitcoin directly, like it has the same effect in my opinion, even though I like spending more than selling. And so this was really freaking hard for me to overcome that, even though I already was earning Bitcoin. And actually, if you think about it, if you earn directly in Bitcoin, you want to spend directly in Bitcoin because you are saving on fees. You're saving on exchange fees. You're saving on like all those fees that are involved with that. And so if you can just directly earn and directly spend in Bitcoin, that's the best thing you can possibly have, because you live on a Bitcoin standard. You don't need anything in between, and you just like from Bitcoiner to Bitcoiner. But it was very hard. So what is your kind of experience with like people spending Bitcoin? And also was this also hard for you to like actually go ahead and say that I part with my Bitcoin and I don't hodl hodl them?
I mean, I think that I mean, Bitcoin forces a reevaluation of your consumerism. And so I think for me, there's a big difference between spending my Bitcoin and um, reallocating my Bitcoin. So, like, I wouldn't spend my Bitcoin on a house right now. That's not a trade I would make. But would I spend Bitcoin on a meal? Totally. It's like and so that's where I think, earning Bitcoin is really helpful in making a psychological shift, because if you're buying something like it's a collectible, it's like a piece of art, a baseball card, like you're buying it because you think it's going to be more valuable in the future. You're not going to want to cut the corner off of that piece of art to try and pay for your lunch. And this is where I think but if you're earning Bitcoin, you have it continuously coming in, then you're not thinking about it like a collectible. You're thinking about it like money, which is what it is. It's just money that doesn't steal from you, which is really cool. And so the key creating that inflow of Bitcoin, I think makes it a lot easier. And so it doesn't surprise me to hear you say, because I think I was the same way.
The first thing that every Bitcoiner does, and the most important activity that every Bitcoiner keeps on doing, is buying Bitcoin. And I personally use Relay to buy and sometimes also spend or sell my Bitcoin. And there are two main reasons why I do so. The first one is it's Bitcoin only. They do not do any shit coins. They do not do any cryptos, any stocks, or anything else. This is a tool, an app that is fully focused only and solely on Bitcoin. The second one is self-custody. They give you the keys to your Bitcoin the moment you buy them. You never give them the control over your Bitcoin, and you don't have to trust them because you can verify that you and only you have the keys to your Bitcoin. There's no third-party risk. There's no freezing of your assets. There's no rug pulling. There's nothing of that. Download Relay, the app, on your phone, or go to relay.app on your browser and use code Robin to save fees and get cheaper Bitcoin. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called micro seed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With micro seed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups, because MicroSeed is not selling the washer. MicroSeed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io.